Suzanne and I are both turning 40 later this year, and I'll admit that part of me has really been trying to cling to the last gasps of our 30s, but now, looking around, I'm realizing what a big mistake it was to let Jessie turn 40 before we did.
So, in case any of you thought I'm Chris's adopted younger sister, I'm actually his slightly older wife. And we have Jessie to thank for introducing us. Being a matchmaker isn't easy, and most people who know us wouldn't really consider us an obvious fit. In Jessie's case, it's all the more remarkable since she had known Chris for only 2 days before she set us up. Thanks, Jessie.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago, and surprisingly, over those 2 days, Jessie and I hit it off in ways that really aren't how either of us relate to Suzanne. We were skiing trails that Suzanne would never attempt and laughing at jokes that Suzanne definitely would not get.
So, admittedly, by then Jessie knew me really well. And as much as I don't like to admit it, she probably knew me much better than I knew myself. We had been friends since our first day at Yale 12 years earlier.
And so somehow Jessie recognized that Suzanne and I were meant for each other. And Suzanne is basically Jessie's serious, sometimes way, way too serious, but gets things done really, really well side.
And Chris is basically Jessie's funny, quick-witted, and carefree side that I have trouble understanding sometimes. Sometimes, seemingly at odds with each other, it took someone like Jessie, who is all of these things, to see the potential.
And so despite the fact that my relationship with Suzanne is strongly linked to her friendship with Jessie, we've both been fortunate enough to maintain independent bonds with her over this time. And I can generally say that out of all of Suzanne's friends, the one I like the most is Jessie. And that not even just because she introduced us.
And I can say that hands down, out of all of Chris's friends, my favorite is Miss Jessica Betts. So here's a toast to our friend Jessie and to your friend. May the saddest day of your future
be worse than the happiest day of your past.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hi, I'm Christina Lewis Halpern, another of Jessie's friends, and I've been asked to give the second friend toast of this evening. I grew up here in New York, like Jessie did, and we met 10 years ago, next month, at the Studio Museum Gala downtown. It was an amazing evening that night that we met, and it was part of a certain phase of our friendship. So in this speech, I thought I'd talk about the different sides, or some of the different sides of the multifaceted Jessie. So when we first met, it was bright young things, right? And that night, David Allen Greer was involved. Then Bruce Willis was involved. Then we went to, Then we went to Bungalow. Bungalow 8 was involved. And through the years, we've gone like coast to coast, hanging out. But there's of course, so that's definitely a side to Jessie. But there's also the everyday gourmet. Right? Who here has had some of Jessie's custom ice cream? Yeah? Okay. For my baby shower, Jessie asked me for my favorite flavors and made me a custom ice cream for the baby shower, which someone ate and said it tasted like pork chops. Which means Jessie managed to make pork chop ice cream, which is absolutely my favorite. Jessie is also incredibly funny. And anytime you're with Jessie, you are laughing. And I have to take this opportunity to read to you guys like one of the most amazing dialogues that I've ever been a witness to. Because hilarity is also a family affair. So this is a transcript of a conversation between Jessica Betts and Maggie Betts while we are on our way to Chelsea Pierce, Connecticut together. Some people here, does everyone here know Instagram? All right, so this is a conversation about dogs on Instagram. I get it's a little too much for me, but just all right, go with me on this. Jessie has a dog named Goldie, and they're talking about another dog on Instagram that Goldie follows. His name is Manny the Frenchie. Jessie. So Manny writes, I'm landing in San Diego now to go to an opening. Maggie. And it's like a Petco or something. Jessie. And he's always trying to sell these pillows. Maggie. I think we should unfollow Manny. He has no idea that we follow him, and he's always pushing these pillows and bow ties. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that Maggie and Jessie actually run this Instagram account for Goldie, who is following Manny the Frenchie. Maggie. I think we should follow Ollie. Jessie. But he's always talking about God and things. Maggie. Yeah, he's like a psychic dog, and he goes to play with kids. Jessie. Yeah, he's not a psychic. He's a therapy dog. Maggie. Yeah, so Goldie is not a therapy dog. But Manny is lame. And it goes on from there. So with Jessie, it's been amazing just laughing so much with you, and I'm so lucky to be your friend. It is one reason to be grateful for the New York City charity circuit, because it allowed us to meet. But the really important thing about being a friend of Jessie's is that Jessie shows up. If you're her friend, she shows up for you. And I am just so grateful for having you in my life. So now, today, we have all showed up for Jessie on the occasion of her 40th birthday. So let's all toast now to my friend and to the fun, talented, funny, smart, wise, hardworking, and loyal, lovely person that you are. Please raise a glass to Jessie.
I'm Roland Betts. I'm Jessie's dad. And I actually have a lot to say. So kind of get comfortable. I got a lot of stories. I tried to edit it. It just didn't work. Maybe I'll edit it on the fly. But we're talking about one of my two or three favorite people on earth, Jessie Betts. So the first thing I'd say, I was going to do this with Lois, and Lois and I chair something at Yale called the Sterling Fellows, and often we go up to the microphone together, and we're talking, and then one time I was talking probably too much, and she starts elbowing me, and then she whispers something to me, and what she whispers is, "I've been standing here 10 minutes, and you haven't said my name once." So I'd like to say, Lois, we're so glad you're here, and you're the mother. So this is a great occasion, Jessie's 40th birthday party, but it is not the first time we've celebrated a birthday of Jessie's. The first time was at Yale at Morey's when she turned 21. It was, without question, the worst behaved group of people I've ever been around, and there are 9 of them in the room tonight. There was much too much alcohol, many too many green cups, and at some point, food started to be thrown. Starting with rolls, and then at some point, Roy Blunt Jr., who is Jessie's godfather, got up to speak, and they were throwing everything at him, including meat. We were thrown out of Morey's. We were thrown out of Morey's, and I think it was literally thrown out, asked to leave, thrown out of Morey's. And I think it was the second time I've been thrown out of Morey's because Livy Miller's over there, and when he had a 21st birthday 49 years ago, we were also thrown out of Morey's. So let me just be really clear. I don't want any of that stuff here tonight. Okay, so this is sort of like a wedding in the sense that Jessie has invited people from different phases of her life. And there are people who understand or know her through one phase or another phase or another phase, but I'm going to try and tell you a little bit that sort of pulls it all together so you know the complete story of Jessie Betts. Jessie was a double biology major at Yale. She majored in biology and organismal biology. A very difficult major. And she excelled. She's always excelled. The one thing you'll hear throughout this is Jessie's bringing excellence to everything that she does. However, if you went to her room was in Jonathan Edwards, and it's a famous room. It's called the Sextet. And I think this is the first time that women had occupied the sextet. And the distinguishing feature about the sextet was that, you know how annoying it is when you have to open the refrigerator to get a beer? Don't have to do that in the sextet because they had just jammed the plumbing for a keg right through the door of the refrigerator, and you could get beer without opening the refrigerator door. That refrigerator seems to have come with the room. How the president of Yale, Rick Levin, could have tolerated such deplorable living conditions, I have no idea. But he's here, and you can talk to him later about it. So Jessie was pre-med all the way, as was Suzanne and many of her friends, Melissa, who's here. And but at some point she decided, and she actually had a scientific paper published. She used to do DNA sequencing, very sophisticated stuff. But somewhere along the line, she decided she didn't want to go to medical school. So she finished Yale really without a plan. And shortly after she graduated, we went to another 40th birthday party. Andy Bernstein, where are you? Okay, and so we went to this party on Shelter Island, Andy's 40th birthday party, and Jessie sat next to a guy who was a senior editor at Knopf, and by the time dinner was over, she had a job. Another of Jessie's great attributes, charm. So she worked at Knopf for about 3 years. She excelled. She was promoted several times. And then she called us one night and said, I want to talk to you guys because there's something, I don't really want to do this anymore. It's something I want to do, and you're not going to like it. So we said, okay. So she came over, and she said, I always enjoyed cooking with Mom when I was little, and I want to be a pastry chef. So we said, okay, that's cool. How do you do that? she said, I want to go to the French Culinary Institute, and I want to be a pastry chef and so on. So she did. And once again, she excelled. Jessie is the most consistently competent person that I know, and I really mean that. She excelled at pastry. She came out and worked for Bobby Flay, who's kind of a fancy chef. And she did that for a year or two. And then Laura Bush, First Lady, said, Jessie, you really need to be in the pastry kitchen of the White House. So Jessie became a pastry chef at the White House. Now, at the White House, there's a pecking order of about six pastry chefs, and Jessie, of course, was on the bottom. So soon into it, they started working on all the Christmas stuff, which starts in September. And the big event at Christmas is the gingerbread house, which is an enormous structure that all the pastry chefs work on. And Jessie one night overheard a conversation among her fellow pastry chefs where one of them said, because they were very aware that Jessie had a different relationship with the President of the United States than any of them did, okay? And one of them said to the other one, I don't care what her relationship is with the President, she better not be working on the gingerbread house. So she did work on the gingerbread house, and she excelled. She excelled there, and then after a little while, she called us and said, "You're going to be so proud of me." Really? Why? I'm always proud of you. She said, "I just got into Columbia Business School." I said, we had no idea you wanted to go to Columbia Business School, but that's fantastic. Great, go to Columbia Business School. So she goes to Columbia. Was the dean Glenn Hubbard, Jess? So Glenn Hubbard was the dean, and he gives that opening speech to 500 students saying, this is the most incredible class we've ever had, the highest GMATs we've ever had, the highest GPA. We got 4 authors, 2 Olympic athletes, and we have a pastry chef from the White House. So the first 2 weeks at Columbia, the kids don't take classes. They all take statistics, and it's very rigorous. And when it's done, they reconvene, and Dean Hubbard is up there, and he says, well, I need to tell you that the statistics stuff is, you know how difficult it was, and you all just took the exam and so on. The average score on the exam was 53, and the second highest score was 62. But we had something happen that never happened before. A student got a 98. Well, he didn't know that Jessie had taken statistics and when she was pre-med at Yale. So the kids all hear, somebody got a 98 in statistics? What is that all about? And the buzz goes through the whole class, and pretty soon they figure it out, and it's the pastry chef. And the view was, she was supposed to be like a charity case. What's going on with this? Okay? So that's Jessie's history at Columbia Business School. She then came, of course, to work here, which is a great thrill for me and Tom and David. And she's been just unbelievable here. And the same kind of competence and excellence that we've come to know. There's another side of Jessie that is her athletic side. And don't forget that the origin of the Chelsea Piers was a simple effort to build a better place for Jessie Betts to skate. So this is her legacy in many respects. So Jessie, as a skater, was what I'd call a gamer. A gamer meaning when the pressure's on, she's terrific. And she would go out and she would compete. And you know, this is when she was a little girl, 10, 11, 12, and so on. And the kids would warm up before the actual event. And Jessie was just terrible at warm-ups. She'd go boop, 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 double toe, fall, double loop, fall, double salchow, fall. And Lois couldn't stand it. Lois would go under the stands because she couldn't watch this. And then Jessie's music would come on, her program would come on, and she'd skate a perfect program. And she'd win time and time and time again. Now, I would like to tell you that she's the best figure skater in the room, but Sarah Hughes is here. Sarah Hughes won the Olympic gold medal in Salt Lake City. Give her a hand. So if I look back to Jessie's roots as to when she became a gamer, when she became kind of tough like that, it was pre-K at Fieldston. She used to come home. She came home several days in a row. Jessie had an innocence to her that was so lovely. She'd come home several days in a row and she'd say, "There's this boy picking on me. He's really mean to me, Dad. He's saying terrible things about me. He's mean, and what should I do?" And I said, "Well, you could tell the teacher and all that, but sooner or later, Jessie, you're going to have to tell him in your own words, just stop it. And you're going to have to be tough with him and just tell him you're not going to tolerate this anymore." So she came home a few days later and had that little smile on her face. "I did what you said, Dad." So, "Oh, really, what'd you do?" "He started bothering me again, and I told him if he didn't stop, I was going to stick my fist down his throat." And he never bothered her again. Jessie's an awesome skier. Jessie skied with me and Chuck and Libby and lots of other people here. And she sort of tolerates skiing with us, but when she skis with Chris or with Tim Kalady, this girl is in a class by herself. Jessie is very strong on her skis and very, very fast. And Tim Kalady, who's a fabulous skier, came to me after the first day of watching her and he said, "She lives in New York?" He said, "You mean she lives in Lake Placid, New York?" I said, "No, she lives Upper West Side, 102nd Street. She said, I don't believe I've never seen a girl ski like that." But it's the same thing. And then finally, Jessie became a serious golfer about 10 years ago. And she did it in a very disciplined way. Good coach, good swing, good fundamentals, and she became a very, very competent player. But when Jessie's in a match and in a tournament at a club or whatever, pretty much always she wins. Because when the pressure is on and when the opportunity to really excel is there and is called upon, she's there. So I want to tell you one final story about, I wanted to take her to Royal Portrush, where several people have played here. I see Livy and Bill Turchin and others. Portrush is a course in Northern Ireland. They're hosting the British Open there in 2019. And I think it is one of the best and most difficult courses in the world. And Jessie and I played with a guy named Billy Tennant, who was a friend of mine, who's an older guy. He's like 75 or 76, but he's probably the best amateur player that ever played in Northern Ireland. And he had the extraordinary distinction at Royal Portrush of having made a 2 on every hole. Unheard of, a 2 on every hole. And even when Jess and I played with him, he was 75 or 76, and he had the same nice tempo, beautiful swing, and so on. And he had this club that had always been with him, which was a hickory-shafted putter with a kind of a heavy mallet head. And he putted with it, he chipped with it, he hit it off the fairway sometimes. And in the course, so on the first hole, it's blowing like crazy. Jessie hits a drive, boom, straight down the middle, in the air about 180 yards, bounces to about 220 yards, perfect. She proceeds to do the same thing on every single hole. And after about, and people don't do that at Portrush, and after about 10 or 12 holes, Billy Tennant said to her, "Jessie, you got no respect for Portrush." Okay? So the round continues, and there you can see she's charming him. He's a charming guy. He's charming her. It was just a magical thing. And when the round ended, Billy Tennant took this club that he had had in his bag for 60 years and gave it to Jessie. And I was like, "Billy, you can't do this." And Jessie said, "No, I lost my wife. I lost my friends. It's time. I want her to have it." So Jess, in many respects, that's sort of a metaphor for tonight. Everybody is here. everybody is giving you, showing you the love that we all have for you, and the pride that your mother and I, in particular, have for you. And I don't think I've ever seen you happier than you are tonight. I'm going to, a little shout out to Jamie. And just the final thing. Christina referenced Goldie and Goldie's little Instagram site. That you must read this to see the humor of both Margaret and Jessie Betts. They post all the time. There's like 1,500 followers. They've given Goldie is a sweet little dog of substandard intelligence. And they've given Goldie a personality. And her personality is that she's arrogant, she's self-absorbed, she's entitled, she cares only about herself. And what's incredible is now I look at little Goldie, who has no clue that this is going on, and I see her walking by. I'm like, where are you going, you stuck-up little bitch? Jessie, everybody in the room loves you, and I'm just going to leave it there. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Jessie. Happy birthday to you.
I got a mic and an amp. Y'all can listen. I just want to thank everyone for being here. The 10 days that it took me and Jen to put this together were really tough. Prabal making this dress in 48 hours, amazing. Dad, that speech was incredible. Also not true, but awesome. Thank you so much. I aspire to be the person you described. Ladies and gentlemen, Christian von Schweidel. I have a ton of people to thank, and I was going to write it down, and then I got busy because this is a little crazy, this party. It's my wedding without a pesky husband until I met Jamie. No, you're not pesky. So everyone needs to give a huge round of applause for Jen Walsh, who planned all of this, put it all together. She has had to deal with me so much and so hard for so long, and I feel so bad for her. I want to thank my family, my friends, everyone who came from so far away as the British Virgin Islands and Wyoming. Also, there's some people from New Jersey. The Garden State. My cousin Kristen, who I've only met like twice before, from Canada. No, it's true. Maggie came from Tribeca, which was really hard because Kim and Kanye were in her way. So thank you so much. Thank you again. So can we keep going, or? All right, we're good. So I just thank you. Oh, thank you to Stacy for hooking me up with this bling. You rock. And my mother. This from here up is Mom. Everything else is Stacy. And everyone here makes me very happy, which is why I wanted everyone to come together and celebrate and make you get dressed up. And I also just want to thank Jamie, who has made me very, very happy. So I don't know if you guys heard, but there's a performance and it's starting like right now. So get up and head over to the stage and welcome Shaka Khan.